Once upon a time, there was a boy named Jack who lived with his mother. They were very poor. Jack's dad had left his mother a widow. They had to sell everything they owned just to buy food. When they were down to their last milking cow, Jack's mom asked him to take the cow to the market and sell it. Along the way, Jack met a strange man who told him wild stories of magic beans. "Where can I buy some of these magic beans for my mother?" asked Jack. "I have the last 5 magic beans, and I will sell them to you because you are a good boy," said the man. "I have nothing but our old cow, and we need the money I will get by selling her to buy food," said Jack. The strange man replied, "Don't worry. Trust me, these beans will bring you food and good fortune, and you will make your mother proud." Jack was not too sure, but he agreed to trade his cow for the beans. When Jack returned home, his mother was very angry, and she threw the magic beans out the window. She was so upset she began to cry. Jack went to bed that night sad and hungry. When he awoke in the morning, he saw a giant beanstalk had grown right where his mother had thrown the beans just outside the window. "The beans really are magic," he said. He could see the beanstalk reached all the way to the clouds high in the sky. Jack had heard stories of the clouds being filled with gold coins, so he began to climb the beanstalk to see what he could find. Jack climbed and climbed, and when he reached the top, he saw a giant castle. Jack slipped by the giant castle door. Once inside, he saw a giant man eating a huge dinner. Jack watched him eat. When the giant man was finished his dinner, he called for his servant to bring him his bag of gold coins. The giant was so full he fell asleep. Jack snuck up and took his bag of gold coins, running out of the castle as fast as he could and climbing down the beanstalk with the heavy bag. Jack's mother was very surprised and happy, as the gold coins in the sack were the same amount of coins the giant had stolen from Jack's father many years ago. Jack's mother also made Jack promise to never return to the giant's castle. She warned him how dangerous it was to go there, but soon the money began to run out. Jack wondered if he could find anything else in the giant's castle. He decided to climb back up the beanstalk to visit the giant's castle. He saw the giant eating his dinner. When he was finished, he called for his servant to bring his magic hen. Jack was amazed when he saw the hen lay an egg of pure gold. The giant became drowsy and fell asleep. Jack snuck up and took the hen and ran back towards the beanstalk. When he came home, Jack's mother was upset with Jack for returning to the castle. She grabbed an axe to cut down the beanstalk, but Jack stopped her and showed her that the hen lays golden eggs. Jack's mother was so pleased to see the hen laid one golden egg after another. After some time, Jack was very curious about what else he would find in the castle. So he climbed back up the beanstalk. He found the giant in his castle eating his dinner. He finished his dinner and called for his servant to bring his magic harp. Jack was surprised to hear the harp play beautiful music all by itself. The giant dozed off to the beautiful music coming from the harp. Jack snuck up and snatched the harp to take back to his mother. The harp started playing very loudly, and the giant awoke. "Fee, fi, fo, fum," said the giant. Jack raced down the beanstalk, trying to escape the angry giant. The beanstalk shook from the giant's large steps. Jack got to the bottom first and found the axe. He began to chop at the beanstalk. The beanstalk collapsed, and the giant fell to earth, never to be seen again. Jack and his mother and the hen lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, there was a lovely lady who lived in the countryside. Her beautiful white cottage was filled with the smell of fresh baked cookies that wafted over to her barn. She loved to bake cookies. One day, she wanted to bake something extra nice with flour, sugar, and spice. She got out her big red mixing bowl and her wooden spoon. She mixed all her ingredients until the batter was just right. Then she rolled out her dough just perfectly. She thought, "This dough is so perfect and flat and just like butter. I think it is time for my cookie cutter." Soon the cookie was baked perfectly. She had used a gingerbread man cookie cutter. The lady thought she must decorate this special cookie with 2 eyes, lips, and a nose, and a nice bow tie around the neck. She thought he looked delicious and wanted to eat him. Before she knew it, the gingerbread man cookie came to life, hopped off the cookie pan, and ran out of the cottage.
No. Oh no.
She ran after him. "Don't run! I want to eat you!" The gingerbread man shouted back, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." As she ran after him past her barn, a cow smelled the cookie and wanted to eat him too. The cow began to chase the gingerbread man, along with the lady. The gingerbread man saw the cow chasing him, and he said, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." Soon a chicken and a pig from the farm joined the chase for the gingerbread man. They chased him all the way to the edge of the big pond. The gingerbread man knew he would melt if he went into the pond. And then, all of a sudden, a sly fox appeared and offered to help the gingerbread man cross the water. "But I think you might eat me," said the gingerbread man. "Oh, don't worry. I just want to help you cross the water," said the sly fox. The gingerbread man thought it was okay, and he jumped onto the sly fox's tail. The lady and the barnyard animals watched as the gingerbread man crossed the pond with the sly fox. Soon the water got higher, and the fox told the gingerbread man to get on his back to avoid getting wet. The gingerbread man crawled from the fox's tail to his back. Then the water got even deeper, and the fox asked the gingerbread man to hop on his head to be safe from the water. Soon even the fox's head was going under the water. He asked the gingerbread man to hop on his nose to really finish his plan. The gingerbread man hopped on the fox's nose. Just as they reached land, the fox flipped his nose and the gingerbread man went flying into the air and was falling towards the sly fox's mouth. The sly fox's plan was now very evident. He was going to eat the gingerbread man. All of a sudden, a crow snatched the gingerbread man from the air.
Oh no.
The gingerbread man was now in the crow's beak. The fox just stared as the crow flew away in the sky. The gingerbread man asked the crow, "Do crows eat gingerbread men?" "Yes," said the crow. And when he opened his beak to answer the gingerbread man fell down to the ground.
Ow, ow, ow.
He ran away as fast as he could. The gingerbread man yelled to the lady and all the animals, "Run, run as fast as you can. No one can catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." If you ever see a gingerbread man, don't try to catch him, because no one can. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lived in a village by a forest. Whenever she went out, she wore a red hooded cape. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother baked some cakes, and she asked Little Red Riding Hood to take them to her grandmother, who lived in the forest. Little Red Riding Hood was very excited and happy to go visit her grandmother. Her mother packed up the cakes in a basket and reminded Little Red Riding Hood to not waste time and go straight to her grandmother's house and to not talk to strangers. Along the path to her grandmother's house, there were flowers, ponds, and woodland animals along the way. And Little Red Riding Hood took her time and enjoyed them all. Then, all of a sudden, a wolf was beside her, asking, "Well, Little Red Riding Hood, what are you doing here?" She told him she was on her way to visit her grandmother's house in the forest. The wolf wanted to gobble up Little Red Riding Hood, but he noticed a woodcutter coming along. So the wolf thought of a plan. "Well, where does your grandmother live?" the wolf asked. Little Red Riding Hood answered, "She lives over the bridge and past the lake," she told the wolf. "Let's play a game and race to your grandmother's house to see who can get there first," said the wolf. "Okay," said Little Red Riding Hood as she ran towards her grandmother's house as fast as she could. The wolf knew a secret path that was far quicker and ran towards her grandmother's house to beat Little Red Riding Hood in the race. The wolf knocked on the grandmother's door, and she asked, "Is that you, Little Red Riding Hood?" The wolf was able to disguise his voice very well, and he replied, "Yes, grandmother, it is me." "Oh, come in, my dear Little Red Riding Hood," said grandmother. To her surprise, the big bad wolf ran in and gobbled her up. The wolf then dressed up to disguise himself as the grandmother. He put on her nightcoat and nightcap and jumped in her bed. Very soon after, Little Red Riding Hood knocked on the door. The wolf disguised his voice again and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, do come in, dear," crackled the wolf. When Little Red Riding Hood saw her grandmother, she barely recognized her and thought her voice sounded strange. As Little Red Riding Hood got closer, she noticed her grandmother's ears were so big and asked, "Grandmother, what big ears you have." "All the better to hear you with, my dear," croaked the wolf. "But, grandmother, what big eyes you have." "All the better to see you with, my sweet girl," replied her grandmother, who was really the wolf. "But, grandmother, what big teeth you have," said Little Red Riding Hood, feeling very scared. "All the better to eat you with," roared the wolf as he leapt from the bed towards Little Red Riding Hood. She ran towards the door as fast as she could, And now she could fully see that it was not her grandmother, but the big bad wolf. As she was trying to escape, she yelled, "Help!" in her loudest voice. "Help!" Cutter, who was working in the forest, heard Little Red Riding Hood's cries for help and ran to help her. He caught the big bad wolf and shook him so hard that Grandmother came out all in one piece. Little Red Riding Hood hugged her grandmother and apologized for talking to strangers and wasting time. Her grandmother said, "Don't worry, dear. You have learned some important lessons. Now why don't we enjoy those delicious cakes you brought me?" The woodcutter took the big bad wolf deep into the forest, so he could never bother Little Red Riding Hood or her family ever again. The end. A long, long time ago, in Sherwood Forest, there lived two outlaws whose names were Robin Hood and Little John. They were the smartest, fastest, and best archers in the world. The prince of the land wanted them arrested and sent all of his men after them. But Robin Hood and Little John outsmarted Prince Jonathan's men and easily escaped. With their many disguises and amazing skills, Robin Hood and Little John stole the prince's jewels, his gold, and one time they even stole the prince's royal robe. To the people of Nottingham, Robin Hood and Little John were heroes. Whenever the sheriff came around to collect high taxes, Robin Hood somehow filled back up the villagers' pockets with coins. Once the sheriff even took a rabbit's family's last penny. Robin Hood heard about it and visited the mother rabbit with a bag of gold coins as a gift, so she could look after her whole family. Mother Rabbit thanked him as Robin Hood sped off to his hideout. Meanwhile, the beautiful Maid Marian was out for a walk with her friend when she noticed Robin Hood's wanted poster. She confided in her friend how much she loved Robin Hood. Her friend assured her they would be together someday. Meanwhile, Robin Hood had caught a glimpse of Maid Marian on her walk. Robin Hood told his friend Little John how much he loved Maid Marian. "She is so lovely," said Robin Hood. "Well, why don't you ask her to marry you?" said Little John. "What would she see in me? I am a wanted outlaw," said Robin Hood. Just then, their friend Friar Tuck joined them. "Someday you will be called a great hero," said Friar Tuck, "not an outlaw." Friar Tuck then told Robin about an archery tournament being held nearby. "Maid Marian has promised a kiss to the winner," Friar Tuck remarked. Robin Hood wore his best disguise yet and won the tournament. But it was a trap set by Prince Jonathan. As Maid Marian kissed Robin Hood, Prince Jonathan arrested him and sentenced him to death. "Please, no," Maid Marian pleaded with Prince Jonathan. She confessed her love, and she begged for Robin Hood's life to be spared. "Marian, my darling, I love you too," Robin Hood declared. Little John fought off the prince's men and saved Robin Hood. The sheriff of Nottingham fought them too, but they all managed to escape to Sherwood Forest. As they fled, Robin Hood asked Maid Marian to marry him. "I thought you would never ask," she happily replied. They spent a special night in the forest filled with fireflies. Robin Hood offered her a ring made from flowers to pledge his love. Back at the palace, the prince was very angry that they could not find Robin Hood. Prince Jonathan tripled the taxes and ordered the sheriff to throw anyone who could not pay in jail. Soon the jails were full. Robin Hood and Little John came up with a plan to let all the village prisoners out of jail. The plan worked. While the prisoners were all escaping, Robin Hood snuck to the castle and took every last bag of Prince Jonathan's gold and coins. Soon after, the real King Richard returned to Nottingham. The king was very upset at what he heard that Prince Jonathan and his men had done to the villagers. The king ordered Prince Jonathan and all of his men to prison. The very next day, the joyful wedding of Robin Hood and Maid Marian took place. As all of the friends gathered to celebrate their love, everyone knew Nottingham had returned to a happy and peaceful, loving town again.